Good evening, everyone. You know, when it comes to nights like this, I love to tell over the story that over a decade ago, more probably, when was the last Subway series? Does anybody remember?
2000.
2000. Wow. So it's almost a quarter of a century ago. Wow. So by the last Subway series, I was giving shir in Staten Island at 8 o'clock, and he didn't tune in yet, but Ruvain Pollack was there by that shir. Irving was probably there, yeah. And I praised the Ilam that there was a Subway series, and everybody was at the shir, you know, and everybody was appreciative of the praise. And then I got to Borough Park for my 10:15 share, and I said in Borough Park, it's very nice. I checked the radio on the way from Staten Island to Borough Park, what was going on. I come over there and I say, very impressive that the whole item is here. It's a Subway series. And one of my very chashuv balabatim, he's not alive anymore, but if you listen to the Borough Park line from several cycles ago, you'll hear him ask many good questions. His name was Rabbanshel Fink, Zichron L'Vracha, Schus Yogan Aleinu. So I remember him asking me very innocently, Subway series, is that a special sandwich? He had no idea what I was talking about. So there's all kinds of people, people like Mark, when they hear 9, they think about the 9 levels, and in Tshuva, these, other people are more down to earth. Anyway, it's great to have everybody with us over here, and as Mark says, he's doing much more for his team by learning. I always say, use our schusim for everybody's good health.
I don't know if it's helping them.
Well, just from this year alone, if you want to start counting schusim, I think it's helping the other side more.
Next year.
Lamaisa is we are dedicated by Shalom Fogel in our tour through this rather this glorious Masechta, Le'ilui Nishmas Yaakov Zev ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka bas Yaakov Yosef, Sivya Miriam bas Gad, Yosef ben Sion ben Yaakov Zev, and Rivka bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam bas Gad, Baruch Ian Le'ilui Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba, Esther bas Gittel, Avram ben Shmuel HaKohen, Yaakov Yemansky. Menachem, are you doing better? Good, Baruch Hashem. Akas Atayv to the Rav and the Zoom family, Nachris from children and grandchildren, Abi Spry, who's in Eretz Yisrael, Nachris from children and grandchildren, Ed Salah from London, Joshua Rosenberg, a virtual Talmud, as we welcome in Saba, Shalom Fogel, Dr. Guy, Berish Kesselman, Irving Fishbaum, Mel Zachter, Ben Zion Cohn, Dr. Block, Mark Frankel, Shelley Zeitlin, Menachem Yemansky, Yitzi Fuchs, Mo Kushner. Mo, how is it doing over there? Is it calm?
Yeah, so far we're busy Bornix. I don't know.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. I mean, it's not supposed to come to you.
A holiday.
Yeah, except a lot of traffic might be coming your way.
Yeah. Well, I just hope it stays like this. I'm expecting a boy he's in the army in Israel. They gave him off. So he's coming for Yom Kippur. He wants to come Friday. I'll invite you to get here. Well, yeah.
I hear that they're telling people that, when they're driving, they should divert down to Miami, because the other way they're running out of gas. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what's going on over there.
My other daughter told me that Elijah's son, he's a chief rabbi, the Saudi guy. The boys that are up and fighting, no fasting on Yom Kippur. So the women are saying, we're without the husbands. They want to have a little head to toe.
It's just the opposite. The women have to fast for both of them.
Sure.
Yeah. We welcome in Michal, Nachman Chaplin, Moshe Lehman, Avram Rezepkowitz, Rabbi Kranz, Shmuel Eisenberg, Naftali Jablin, Ilian Shutman, Yitzi Muller. Here in Shul we have Chaim Kramer, we have Michal Avram, and Ruvain Shannon joining us. David Helfgott on Kol HaLashon. Okay, so we're holding at the very top of Daf Kuf Vav Amud Aleph, as we welcome in Abe Arbach, who just got in under Mamish at the perfect time. He is joining us. So the Mishnah says, if I tell Mark that I'm selling him a kur b'simonov u'b'mitzarav, with these landmarks and with these boundaries. So what happens if it's not exactly a kur? So here the halacha is pachis mishtos. If the differential is less than a 6, higiu, then the deal goes through without any refunds or additions. Ajtus, but if the differential is more, up to a shtus, then yanake. Then if I gave him more than a shtus, more than a 6 less of a kur, I have to deduct from the price. So here, of course, the obvious question is, less than a shtus, the deal goes through without any adjustments. More than a shtus, I have to deduct from the price. What about an actual shtus? What's the din then? Itmar, Rav Huna Amar shtus kepachis mishtus, that if it's a 6, it's like less than a 6, and the deal goes through without any adjustments. Rav Huna Amar, the other way around. Rav Yehuda Amar shtus kiyosim shtus, that a 6 is like more than a 6, and if I gave him a 6 less than a kur, I have to deduct. Rav Huna Amar, now the Gemara explains their respective reasonings. Rav Huna mishtus kepachis mishtus. Rav Huna says a 6 is like less than a 6. He learns the language of the Mishnah as follows. Hachi kamer. Pachas mishtos, if the differential is less than a 6, ushtos bechlal, or a 6, higiu. The deal goes through without any adjustments. Yaisa mishtos, but if I gave him less than a 6th of a kur, yanaka, then I have to deduct from the price. Rav Yehuda says no. Shtus ki yosim shtus. A 6th is like more than a 6th. And hachi kama. This is the way to learn the Mishnah. Pachas mishtus, less than a 6, higiu. The deal goes through without any adjustments. Ad shtus, but if the differential is from more than a shtus until a 6th, v'shtus bechlal, or even if the differential is a 6th, yanaka, I have to deduct from the amount if I gave him a 6 less than a kur. So now the Gemara is going to ask and is going to challenge Rav Huna. Rav Huna says that a 6th also needs no adjustments. So asks the Gemara, Meisvei, and I want to remind the Olam, as we're sitting here, that we should all have in mind that that we're learning to be Mekayim the mitzvah b'dibarta bam, lasois nachas ruach liyotzreinu, to give nachas ruach to Hashem. It should be for us kisris b'fnei aparaniyos, like a shield before retribution, and it should be. I said this by mincha today. There is an opinion that the mitzvahs that we do now don't go on the scale, because these mitzvahs belong to next year's cheshbon, to Tafshin Pei Hey. But even if they don't go on the scale, they are weighed by the Rebbeinu Shalom, because the Rebbeinu Shalom sees that when we ask, Zachreinu l'chayim melech chafetz b'chayim b'kosmu b'sveinu b'sefer ha'chayim, and we say l'manucha elikim chayim, for your sake. When we learn that's for Hashem's sake, because Kutcha Berichu V'Raisa Chadhu, Hashem and the Torah is one. So when we're learning, that's considered for Hashem's sake. So then we could say, the Kasveinu B'Sefer HaChayim L'Mancha Elikim Chayim. So asks Gemara, Meisvei B'Simonov U'B'Mitzarav, if I say to Mark, I'm selling you this kur with its landmarks and its borders, its boundaries. Picheshtus ay haiseshtus. If I gave less than a sixth or more than a sixth, harihu keshuma dayanim. It's like a case where the judges erred in the evaluation, and higiu. The din is that even if they erred, it is accepted. So, now if you remember, it was the opinion of, now the problem is, but that's not the din where the judge has made an error. V'ashuma dayanim, in the case where judges make an error, the shtus kiyosim mishtusu. The din is that a sixth is like more than a sixth, and the din is then the din is if the judges erred when they were, for example, they were evaluating a land, and to make sure that they were selling land for the sustenance of orphans. And they were evaluating it to make sure that the orphans got a proper value. So the din is, the din is over there, the din is if the mistake is a sixth or more than a sixth, the evaluation is overturned. So you see over there, if we're comparing it to the Shuma Dayanim, then it would seem to be here also where I sold Mark with its landmarks and its boundaries. Then if it's a sixth, it's like more than a sixth, and we have to make an adjustment, which would be a kasha on Rav Huna. So the Gemara says, yeah, but it's very confusing what you're saying, because here it says that a sixth is higiyu. Says the Gemara, Amalach Rav Huna, so that's what Rav Huna answers. Ulutameach, according to you, what do you mean we're comparing it to Shuma Dayanim? And you're saying that by Shuma Dayanim a sixth or more than a sixth is overturned, but here it says if it's a sixth, excuse me. Here it says if it's a sixth, huh? Yeah, amen. Here it says higiyu katani, that it, like Rav Huna says, if it's a sixth, it's left to stand without any adjustments. Ella, in order to resolve what the comparison is to Kishuma Dayanim, thank you. Ella, Ella says the Gemara, it's a split decision. Kishum dayanim v'loy kishum dayanim. It's like the evaluation by judges, but not completely like the evaluation of judges. Remember, when we sold regular real estate, we said that where it says kechaser ukiyeser, a little bit less or a little bit more, the allowance was 1/4 of a kav per sa, or 7.5 kav per sa. Here, where the sale was, and I told Mark I'm selling him a kur with these landmarks and with these boundaries, so it's kishuma dayanim v'loy kishuma dayanim. Kishuma dayanim l'shtus, that the share is a sixth. Unlike if it's Kain Choser and Yesa, where the allowance is Roiva Ka per sa, or as long as it's not an overage of 7.5 Ka per kur. So in this, it's like the Shema Dayanim, that when it says Simon of Umeitzarav, it's a sixth. However, V'loike Shema Dayanim, the Ilu Hasam, if the Dayanim err in a sixth or more than a sixth, batal mekach, the sale is voided. V'ilu, but over here, if it's more a six or less than a six, it's like Rav Huna says, higiyu, the sale goes through without adjustment, because he holds that a shtus is like pachas mishtus. Now, Rav Papa Zavan Ara, Me'ahu Gavra. Rav Papa bought land for Mark. Now, when Mark was selling Rav Papa the land, Rav Papa was standing in the land. You didn't know that Mark was so old, but these are in his younger years when he was a bit more dashing, and he was doing a deal with Rav Papa, and Rav Papa was standing in the land. So Rav Papa Zavan Ara Me'ahu Gavra, Rav Papa bought land from Mark. Amalei, Mark told him, Havyan Esrin Grive Mishche, that the land was 20, a grive is a saw. Not always in Shas is it a saw, but the Mefarish in the Durham says grive is a saw. And over here, the Rashbam says grive is a saw. So Mark told Rav Papa that the land had the area of 20 sa. Mark, you know. V'loy have elachamisra, but it turned out it was only 15. So Rav Papa, so to speak, you know, got jilted. Mark, Rav Papa. There's Ruvain. Ruvain, you weren't here in the beginning when I said, if you remember, I thanked the Olam for being by the shir by the Subway series. Do you remember that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you see that. Would you believe, Mark, that's Ruben, that's 24 years ago.
Okay. I remember some things from 24 years ago.
And then when I got to Borough Park, Rabban Shulfig thought I was talking about a sandwich. Anyway, so Ruben, we just turned the page. So Mark is rooking Rav Papa. It's a little bit embarrassing, but Rav Papa is in the land. He tells him it has 20 sa, and now Mark finds out that it's 15 sa. So Rav Papa, he didn't even bother dealing with Mark. Also, the Kami Abai, he brought in the big guns. He went to Abaya. Amalei, so Abaya sided with Mark. Amalei, Savris v'Kabilas. You were standing in the field, you saw what was going on, and you accepted it. So Mark said, but it's a Mishnah. Vatanan Pachas Mishtos Higiu. If it's less than a 6, the deal goes through. But Ajtas, but up to or more than a 1/6 of a differential, Yanaka, you have to deduct. And Rav Papa said, this is a fourth. I mean, this is a quarter. He said 20 and it's 15. I mean, come on. Right? So I'm telling you, Rav Papa, Abaya is really on Mark's side of the court. Really, Mark, you must have known Abaya well. Hani Mili says the Gemara, he told Rav Papa, that's if you didn't realize what's going on. You weren't in the field. But if you were in the field and you have a good judgment, you see there's no 20 saw here, you know the difference between 20 saw and 15 saw, some of a couple. So Rav Papa says, I thought when Mark told me 20, he meant he's going to supply me another 5 besides these 15. Look at this. Rav Papa said, he told me 20. So Abaya knows Mark. He says what he meant when he said 20 is that these 15 will yield you enough payers as if it was 20. It's very fertile land, my land. Amalei da'adifa ke'esrim. He meant that it's superior as if it was 20, right, Mark? That's what you meant. So therefore, Rav Papa doesn't get a refund. Very interesting. Tanya, we learned to the Brisa. This is very interesting. 3 brothers, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. They decide that they're going to divide their father's estate by lottery. In other words, they divided the estate into 3 equal portions. And everybody really wanted the family house. There was a family house, then there was a villa in Florida, not in Tampa, a villa in Florida. There was a place in the Catskills. So they made a lottery. They divided it into 3 portions, and they made a lottery. So says the Gemara, Tanya Rabbi Yossi Aimer Achin Shecholku, Kavan She'ala Goyrel Echad Mehem. As soon as one of them got his lottery, the lot was cast for one of them. Kanakulam. The deal is binding for all 3. No, we don't say, okay, the one that got the lottery gets it, but the other 2, they could still haggle. No. Once the lottery is cast for one of them, then the subsequent portions are already binding. And what's the reason? Because we learn it out from the division of Eretz Yisrael. My time, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Ketchilas Eretz Yisrael. It's like the division of Eretz Yisrael. Matchila B'Gairo, Yeshua divided the land with a lot. And there, as soon as the first Shevet got it, all the portions are binding. Afkan B'Gairo. So the Gemara says, well, if it's like Eretz Yisrael, then you should have to have a lottery from a box. Rabbi Yeshua did it with a kalpi, and you should have to need the Urim V'Tumim, because it was done with the Urim V'Tumim, which is the Hashem's name, which was in the fold of the Chayshin, the breastplate that the Kohen Gadol wore. So Afkan, just like over there, Malahala B'Kalpei V'Urim V'Tumim, Afkan, it should be with the chest, B'Kalpei V'Urim V'Tumim. So Amar Rav Ashi, well, we know that a lottery can be used from Eretz Yisrael. Obviously, we don't have an Urim V'Tumim now. But what makes it binding? What makes it binding is Bahi Hanoah, the Kotzaitze Lahadadi, with that benefit that each one agrees to be bound by the decision of the lottery. They give over their portion readily to each other in appreciation that everybody agrees to do this lottery. That they listen to one another. They given over to allow each one to acquire the portion right away. Now, Imar, Shnei Achin Shecholku. Let's say Reuben and Shimon thought that they were the only brothers. They thought that their third brother had died overseas. So they divided the estate in two. It turns out that Levi was only in a hospital, and he survived his illness, and he showed up. Rav Amabatla Machloikis. Rav says that the division is canceled, but rather they have to now go back to the drawing board and divide it into three. Shmuel says no, each one gives a portion of his part to the third brother. Shmuel Leimer Mekamtzen. Each one gives a portion of his already divided portion to Levi, so that now it's equal three portions, but they don't have to redivide. So Amalei Rav L'Rav Nachman, L'Rav the Amar Batla Machloikis, the Rav that says that we go back to the drawing board and the division into two is negated, Alma Hadudina, that means that we reverse already a concluded decision. Elimiata Hani Beitlasa Dekaime. If you have three partners, V'azal Beitrei Minayu Uploig, and two of them made a division of the partnership into three portions. You had three partners. Two of them divided it into three equal shares. Are you going to say Hachinami debatla machloikis? Are you going to say that according to Rav, the division is negated because the third brother wasn't involved? Says, well, it's not the same. In the first case, they thought Levi was dead, so they only divided it into two. So Rav says if you only divide it into two, you have to go back to the drawing board. Here, they divided it in three. They didn't ignore the third partner. When they divided it into three equal portions. Over here, since they didn't think Levi was alive, they only divided it into two portions. They didn't divide it into three portions, and since they didn't divide it into three portions, they have to go, according to the Rav, back to the drawing board and divide it into three portions. Okay, we're going to stop here now. We did the Mishnah Yomis earlier because now we have what I would consider one of the most important shiurim of the year, as the shiur is being titled Yom Kippur Strategies for a Better New Year.